there are 5 pairs of gears and 4 holes, which are oftentimes ignored on these machines. I'll show you the holes in a moment, but first this is one pair of gears here. There's another pair by the motor. There is another one hidden underneath this cam stack. I'll show you how to remove it from there. Have access. It's not that difficult. Then we have one pair of gear here and another one underneath the shuttle. So you need to use a grease that is pretty sticky so it stays in place, and coat just one of the gear that you have access to it, rotate it to have access to it, and just maybe use a painting brush to just smear a fine coat of grease on one of the gears. The other one will get grease from it. What's important is to use a grease that is sticky and that does not smell. Ask me why I'm saying that. Okay, let's just remove the cam stack. So we want first to toast this lever to the left completely, and we are going to use the white knob, pull on it, and we want to drop the 2 followers all the way to the bottom. So white one drops this one, make sure it's bottom, dead bottom, and then use this before that just switch the lever to the right side and use the brown knob and drop the rear one all the way to the bottom. If they are not at the bottom, you won't be able to remove the cam stack, you won't be able to put it back in place. Use the pliers to grab here. It's already slack mine. Just grab it with the pliers, unlock it, and when you lock it back in place, just slightly snug. That's it. Don't need to force on anything. This is the spring that keeps the optional plastic cam. So it comes like this, and then the cam stack, you can grab it like this, and we have one of the 2 gears. The other one, it's more difficult to see, it's on the shaft here. It's right here, there's not enough light, you will see it on your machine. So again, a tiny coat of grease on it, and when you drop it back in place, don't worry about the timing. If you don't disassemble the disc, the timing will be perfect. You won't have a problem with it. So be sure to just slightly tighten snug this small knob when you put it back in place. Now let's look for the holes. You see, we do have a shaft here which has a gear which is vertical, and the corresponding gear at the bottom there. Let's see if the camera will show you this. No, you don't see much. So there is a horizontal gear connected to this one, and the horizontal gear actually it's at the end of a vertical shaft which also has a bottom gear. And this vertical shaft is supported by 2 brackets with 2 bushes, and those 2 bushes need lubricated. And to lubricate this, you need to put your machine on the side, and I'm betting most of you didn't do this. These holes go deep inside, and my suggestion is use a tiny wire like this and just take a tiny drop of oil, just insert, make sure the wire goes all the way at the bottom of this hole, which is fairly long again, and just make sure you put that droplet. You may try 2, but when you put the machine back standing, make sure it doesn't leak out. So put 1 or 2 droplets on this hole and on this hole as well, here at the bottom. So this is the bottom bushing or sleeve, this is the top one. And when you put your oil in there, make sure you keep your machine sitting like this on the side for at least 1-2 hours. So that oil has to go and spread around that bushing all around, and make sure you spin it once in a while just like this by hand, either side, either way, or just wiggle it a bit like this. You know, when you put an oil here, if the machine is standing like this, the oil will go downwards and will lubricate only the bottom half of the sleeve. That's why you want to put it on the side like this, so the oil spreads at the top half of the sleeve as well. Same for the bottom one. So leave the machine like this, maybe 1-2 hours, depends. And these 2 holes here, I'll continue with the other holes too, but these 2 are not just neglected, but most of the times people would just keep the machine standing and put oil, and the top of this sleeve doesn't lubricate properly. And my sleeve here started to grab while the machine is spinning. So this is a very important point that is really common, I think, on these machines. That's why my recommendation is to use, actually, if you can, engine oil instead of that sewing machine lubrication oil, because the sewing machine oil is very, very thin. It's a lubricant, but it's not a good lubricant when there is wear on the metal. Engine oil, any engine oil, if you can find synthetic, it's even better because it's going to last longer in there. It's going to lubricate much better worn metal sleeve surface, especially this point, but perhaps also this point as well, if you can. Now, this is another lubrication point. I'll show you underneath what's going on. So just use a wire like this and put a droplet. Just put the wire inside the bottle, get a droplet on the tip, make sure you don't smell around, and just insert the wire all the way at the bottom here. The same you are going to do, but this time, so we have 3 holes here. Actually, this is the lubrication hole. Don't put any oil here. These are for accessories like attachments. So this one towards you, it's the lubricating one, and this one, it's actually filling kind of a, I don't know, it's like a larger space which lubricates. I'll show in a moment. But here I suggest put at least, I would say, put 2 drops or maybe 3 if you never put oil in there, because it's lubricating a very long sleeve. I'll show in a moment what's about. So maybe 2 or maybe even 3 holes. Keep in mind it may smell underneath the machine, so put back the under cover so it doesn't leak on your table. Don't forget that you also have this hole. This lubricates the shaft of the shuttle, piece, the piece that keeps the shuttle. 1 drop in there will just go down and will just lubricate properly. Singer also says to lubricate around here the race. Up to you, because the shuttle spins around. So if you are using it a lot, maybe put a tiny droplet on the race. Let's look underneath. And so this hole here, this one, actually it's lubricating this sleeve for this shaft, and it goes inside here. Otherwise you cannot lubricate this sleeve. The other one that I was saying about to put two droplets, sorry about this, to put 2 droplets, is this long sleeve. It goes from there to about there. So it's a really long sleeve, and this is like a space where that drop falls on it, and it's just leaking and it's lubricating this shaft. So it takes more than 1 drop here. Just bear in mind that droplet, that hole right in the center of the race, will lubricate the shaft for this gear here. And obviously now we may go keep going with the lubrication points on this machine. So these are lubrication points here, but my suggestion is to put holes near these rods here, near the sides of each end of the rod, then near the end of these rods where you see the shiny part, just by the black rod part. Not a lot of light, so you will see all this. Basically just move the hand well and you see what's rotating, and you just want to put a tiny bit of oil on it. And of course, if you look at the front of the machine, this is just like a bonus. You will have plenty of lubrication points. Just rotate and look for any tiny hole like this. For instance, this hole, actually you want to put a droplet and just put the machine sitting on the handwheel, so the oil goes at the top and on the at the bottom of this sleeve here. Otherwise it's going to leak just at the bottom of it. And obviously there are other lubrication points. Look at the holes that you can find, and also this one, let me just look. You want to put a droplet obviously here at the top, just tiny amount, because this may leak on your sewing, any fabric that you are using. Put a bit of grease in there, and also I believe also on there on the shaft. So these are just, I'm just saying, making this video for specifically for these holes here, the 1, 2, 3, 4, and for the gears. But obviously there are other lubrication points on these machines. So just keep this in mind. And again, this lubrication point I think is the most problematic one, perhaps this one as well on the vertical shaft. So bear this in mind, and hopefully this will get your machine working better.